Oh, Marshmello, we meet again. Let's get talking about your music, bud. Welcome to Y.E.S, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the fourth studio album, Shockwave, by Marshmello. Marshmello is an artist I've always felt like I should like more than I do. There is a lot of music that he does make that I do enjoy, but when I listen to his albums as a whole, I'm still longing for more. And that is also the scenario that I have here in this album, but maybe a little bit more longing than I would have liked. Let's talk a little bit about what this album actually provides for us. The first thing that I would like to note is that I think that Marshmello chose a very interesting array of vocalists to be included in this album. Some that I think work okay, and then there's some others where I'm like, that was unexpected, and I don't know how I feel about that quite yet. Two of those examples I'd like to mention are Megan Thee Stallion and Juicy J. Now, I'm perfectly fine with an EDM artist collaborating into the realm of hip-hop. I think that sometimes that has worked really well, especially in the early 2010s. But I don't get, at least these two, I don't get what value they actually added on to these songs, both in vocal delivery and in the lyrical content. Now, in the song that Megan Thee Stallion is included, I did like the beat at the beginning. It kind of did remind me of a very early David Guetta-oriented beat. But because he also included Megan Thee Stallion in here, it made me think he's really going for like a really hardcore college party of some kind, something that just has no limitations, something that you would think would blow up on the internet. And it's just like, it's just blowing up. Not really in a positive way. Now, these beginning comments are going to make me feel like, oh, so Rico here is like one of those guys who also is in the overrated point of view of this artist. No, I don't think so. He actually pokes fun of that in the song Supernova Cane, and I thought that was actually kind of funny that he wanted to poke at that. I'm just in the camp of thinking that he belongs in mainstream, but it's also like, well, he's not at the A-list tier, and I understand that as well. That's just kind of where he resides. We're waiting for really something that would be a banger for everybody. And it's not like you have to pander that to everybody when you're a music artist. I don't think you have to do that. But I have yet to hear one song where I'm like, I definitely feel like everyone would climb on board with it. It's kind of a niche thing, and that's okay. It really is. The second thing that I did like about this album, where at the same time, I'm not sure if it landed 100% the way that he should have, but it's something that I did like and admire, is the fact that he chose to incorporate different kinds of beats. I mentioned the David Guetta beat already. He kind of dabbles in house. He has these interesting, it almost feels like crunk beats, like a Lil Jon kind of thing. Yeah! Like, I mean, he doesn't do that, obviously, but it kind of feels like it's toying with that idea production-wise. The fourth track is probably the one that I was most interested in, called Back It Up. It has a beat at the very beginning, and overall, it stays pretty consistent throughout the album, but the vocalist delivery, when they actually go to some of the verses, I didn't really care for it all that much. It felt a little bit like too much. Sometimes an EDM track doesn't need very in-depth verses, or I think in this case, we were really experiencing something like, what's up kind of attitude. That's kind of the feeling that I got from the song, and I didn't think it benefited it very much. Maybe it's old school, and maybe it is overdone to just have kind of a catchphrase that you repeat over and over. I think this song would have benefited from the introductory lyrics just kind of going on repeat a little bit more, or at least having some more space in between the song to be able to allow the production to stand out a little bit more. But the beat worked pretty well. Probably the song that you would think sounds most like Marshmello from his other albums is the very last song, and also the album title track, Shockwave. It has an intro where it can maybe trick you to think that this might not be a song you're interested in, but I think in the end that it actually is the one that probably sticks to his typical guns, if you know what I mean. The song House Party was interesting because it takes more of a bro step approach, and it also kind of feels like it's a haunted house oriented kind of song. Now overall I feel like I've described quite a variety of different things in this album, and to be honest, most of these comments, I feel like a majority of them are split right down the middle. Some things I feel positive and some things I feel negative. A few things just negative and a few things just positive. But I'm really torn on a lot of the elements that are brought in together on this album. And I don't really have anything much else to say that is really pro Marshmello or anti Marshmello. This just kind of feels like an album that we expected him to eventually deliver, and we're waiting to see if his evolution is going to take another step up or if we're just going to keep getting the same thing from him. I think he did try some new things in here, but I don't really think that they benefited him as well as maybe he would have liked. But it is good to see him wanting to experiment. I just think that, all right, we tried this, now maybe go try something else. And one last thing I just really want to highlight. On either side, if you're going to include a vocalist or not include a vocalist, I really want to try to understand what is the end game with the melody that you want to produce, because in this album, that's the thing I was probably the most confused about. Some of the vocalists worked, some of them didn't. Lyrically, I didn't really gravitate to any of the songs in here, and that's not really a problem all the time with electric music, but when you're not going to include it, or if you're going to have spaces in between, I was pretty disconnected with this album, to be honest, and so I was a little hesitant and a little let down that I didn't feel like there was something to really keep me going. There's plenty of levels and layers in each of the tracks that makes me think, okay, he's trying to put in some ideas, but I don't really feel like there was one thing in the end that I could follow along that I really connected with on an individual song. I got one or two songs in here where I'm like, these are standouts, but even then, I have torn feelings. I know he'll keep making music, and I do, in a positive way, look forward to it. It's just this time around, I'm pretty indifferent here. So after having listened and reviewed this album, I'm going to give production a C, creativity a D, expression and lyrics an F, and how would I recommend this album? I'm going to give it an okay. I really do think I could be more harsh with this album, but at the same time, it's like, I don't have to. There's some people who probably are going to be in that overrated category for Marshmello's music, and that's fine. Go enjoy something else. For me, it's like, I still think there's something out there, but I am going to be real about how I feel about this album in particular. I'm just not as invested. I don't feel like I have to smack it down any harder than I need to, but I am going to be honest and say, this album could have delivered some more for us all. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. Be sure to follow me in my social media links down in the description below, and be sure to leave a like for the video as well as a comment down below if you want to engage with me. And remember, if you want to discover, promote, and review the best in entertainment, be sure to subscribe to this channel so you can get that yes in your life. See you next time. Yeah, it's a little sad that I don't really have a song I want to highlight in here. But if any of you have a song that you really like, I want to know down below, and maybe I'll highlight the songs that I've really enjoyed from Marshmello also, because they're out there. I just, have mixed feelings about this album in particular. See you later, guys. Enjoy.